Fortunate is he who remembers Allah abundantly. Worldly distractions cannot mildly sway his thoughts of Allah and Judgment Day. Righteous is he who bows to one he cannot see, whose deeds do not spring without Bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulil Kareem. Dear guests, welcome to our program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our program is The Excellence of Manners. I'm your host, Muhammad Mamdouh. In this program, we are learning about manners that we as Muslims are supposed to have in order for us to deal and properly practice our religion. And because the Prophet ﷺ told us and showed us, in fact, that dealing with people takes a certain way. You have to understand how to deal with situations in your life. And this is kind of the guidelines that you're supposed to follow in order for you to become a better Muslim, inshallah. May Allah join us all in heaven if we achieve this, inshallah. We've been talking for 2 episodes about a very, very important topic, and that is humbleness and pride. We spoke about humbleness in our last episode, and we are just going to review in this episode and then talk about a very opposite, dangerous manner to have, which is pride. So humbleness and pride go hand in hand. Our guest and Sheikh is Sheikh Saeed El-Gadi from London. Welcome back, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hayyak Rasul Muhammad.
Ameen, jazakumullah khair. We are talking about these 2 manners, and we are taking 2 episodes. So for the people that missed the previous episode, we'd like to just briefly explain the word and the meaning of humbleness before we get into pride.
Inshallah. Humbleness is basically to be respectful and to be submissive and to be not to be proud towards people, and not to be arrogant towards people, to be modest, to lower yourself, and not to elevate yourself above people. And it is one of the manners that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves. And one of the manners that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to adopt. إِنَّ اللَّهَ أَوْحَى إِلَيَّ أَن تَوَاضَعُوا. Allah ta'ala has revealed to me to adopt humility and humbleness.
Allah.
And in Sahih Muslim, it is a very sound hadith.
And we also spoke about the reward, and that in when you humble yourself, Allah
will
raises
elevate you in ranks
in this life
and in the hereafter.
ما
تواضع أحد إلا رفعه. Whoever humbles himself for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah ta'ala will elevate him in ranks.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
May Allah elevate us in these ranks.
Ameen.
We also spoke about the pride being a major sin.
It is.
Can you mention this again? Why it's a major sin?
It's a major sin because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who deserves to be called the pride. It is a quality and an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the proud. Allah ta'ala is the proud, and He is the arrogant. And no one is allowed to have those 2 attributes but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whoever competes with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in those 2 attributes, or in these 2 attributes, Allah ta'ala will throw him in the hellfire. In the sound hadith in Sahih Muslim, Allah ta'ala in the Qudsi hadith said, whoever he said that al-izzatu ridai, the honor is my lower garment, and the pride is my cover or my cloak. And whoever competes with me in regard of one of them, I will throw him in the hellfire. Whoever competes with me, whoever vies with me in regard of one of them, I will throw him in the hellfire. So that's why pride is prohibited and forbidden in Islam.
And we also mentioned also the pride of Satan, who was thrown and cursed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this specific sin. And is it true also there's a hadith that says if you have in your heart I don't know the exact terminology, but an atom worth of pride,
of weight,
that you will not smell heaven.
Heaven, subhanallah. Yes, it is. In the hadith, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, he said that لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. And it's in Bukhari. No one who has an atom's weight or an ant's weight of arrogance in his heart will enter Jannah. If you have arrogance in your heart, you will not enter Jannah. One of the companions said, Ya Rasulullah, a man likes to have his clothes beautiful and his shoes likewise. He says, he replied, saying, Allah Ta'ala is beautiful. And He likes beauty. He can have that. He can have a beautiful clothes and beautiful shoes. But, he said, arrogance is to deride and reject the truth. Arrogance is to deride and reject the truth and to belittle and despise people.
Subhanallah. So this is
the arrogance.
This is the definition of arrogance and pride. So is it safe to say that this manner is a manner that the people of the hellfire have?
Yes, it is. It is. When he when he spoke about, may Allah's peace and blessing be upon him, when he spoke about the qualities and the manners of the people of the hellfire, he said, shall I tell you the qualities of the people of the hellfire? Their manners and their attributes in this life? They said, yes, Ya Rasulullah, tell us about them. He said, the people of the hellfire or the inhabitants of the hellfire are everyone who is عُتُلٌ جَوَاضٌ مُسْتَكْبِرٌ. Everyone who is harsh, violent, and impolite and proud. Everyone who is harsh, impolite, violent, and proud person, he is from the people of the hellfire, or he has the qualities and the manners or the attributes of the people of the hellfire.
Subhanallah.
Subhanallah.
May Allah protect us.
So it's a sign of the people of the hellfire. It is one of their attributes, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, تِلْكَ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةِ نَجْعَلُهَا لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُرِيدُونَ عُلُوًّا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا فَسَادًا. This is the hereafter, the Jannah. We will only assign it for those who don't want to be arrogant on the land, on this earth, who want to be humble on this earth, and they don't want to cause any mischief on this earth. وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And indeed, the good ending is for those who are pious, those who are humble, those who don't want to cause any mischief on earth, those who practice humbleness.
Ameen. May Allah make us of the humble people, inshallah. We're talking about this feeling of pride. And if you feel that you are better than someone, that Allah will punish you and put you in the hellfire. What about the people that belittle other people? You know, they belittle the status of other people. Is this an act of pride?
It's an act of pride, of course. Definitely, it's an act of pride. In the hadith in Sahih Muslim, بِحَسْبِ امْرِئٍ مِّنَ الشَّرِّ. It is enough evil to belittle your brother, to look down at your brother. It is enough of evil to have this manner. And it shows that it is a sign of pride. May Allah protect us all from this.
May Allah protect us. Ameen. Ameen. And
we are all equal. And our lineage is not a shame. In the hadith, إِنَّ أَنْسَابَكُمْ لَيْسَتْ بِمَسَبَّةٍ. Your lineage is not a shame. You all belong to Adam. Subhanallah.
Subhanallah. And we should emphasize this point greatly.
Yes.
I mean, the reason we are talking about this in such great length is because it's so important and very critical for someone to keep away from this thing.
That's right. That's right.
And it's a very unliked act and manner by people to belittle someone, or because they come from a certain country, or because they have a certain status,
the nationality,
and that you see that your nationality might be better than someone else's nationality, and your passport is better than their passport. And these are all things that, as you said, we're all from Adam. We're all from Turab.
Allah Ta'ala doesn't look at all of these differences. Allah Ta'ala looks at our hearts. Indeed, Allah doesn't look at your faces, or your outer appearance, or your muscles, or your nationalities, or your wealth. Allah Ta'ala looks at your hearts. SubhanAllah.
And this is what we should focus on. We should focus on these
outer purifying our hearts and
perfecting
our manners.
Inshallah. What are some of the things that may cause someone to be prideful and arrogant? Are there things that reasons
Yes,
that lead
there are
to
many
this?
reasons. Let me summarize them in saying that one of the most important reasons for falling in pride is when you forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Forgetting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you are heedless about Him, you will fall in pride.
And this is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
He has the mightness.
He has all the mightness.
He's the great.
The most
if you forget
exalted.
His mightness and His greatness, you will fall in pride. So forgetting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a reason of falling in pride, in this evil deed, an evil manner. Another reason is when you forget the purpose of your existence. Why are you here in this life? Why are you being created? Allah Ta'ala made it very clear. You are a slave in this life. You're not here to be arrogant. You're not here to show pride. You are a slave. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created the mankind and the jinn kind except to worship me. To worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah Ta'ala emphasized that we were nothing before. 100 years ago, we were nothing. Allah Ta'ala brought us into existence. From non-existence to an existence. From non-being into a being. For a purpose, to worship Him.
There was a time when, in the Quran, in Surah Al-Insan, it says, there was a time when you were not mentioned.
Not mentioned.
There's no mention of
أَوَلَا يَذْكُرُ الْإِنسَانُ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَوَلَا يَذْكُرُ الْإِنسَانُ أَنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ. Can't man remember that we have created him before, and he was nothing. He was nothing. He had no history, no future. He was no one. Subhanallah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala brought you into this life for a purpose, to worship Him.
Is there another cause that you want to mention? Because
yes,
we have to take a break.
Okay. Also, a cause of acquiring this evil quality, pride, is when you like people to praise you, or when you praise yourself. When you praise yourself, or when you like people to praise you. Allah Ta'ala in the Quran said, فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Don't praise yourself. Don't praise yourself. هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. Allah Ta'ala is fully aware of the one who is pious. So when you praise yourself, it's more likely to fall in pride.
It's a dangerous way to get into. We will come back and discuss this matter further. Please stay tuned, and we'll be back momentarily, inshallah. This is The Excellence of Manners. Assalamu alaikum.
Fortunate is he who remembers Allah abundantly.
Inshallah, on the straight path, we would like to discuss the niqab from an Islamic and social political perspective.
So sometimes some non-Muslims, they might not understand the full Islamic pictures. Anyone can say anything about it.
Yes.
So when can we, who speaks for Islam? Mm-hmm. This is the biggest question. Who speaks for Islam? Mm-hmm. No, they are not sinning. They are not sinning, but we are talking about now the general ruling. Mm-hmm. They are not sinning, but they are going against what has been established. It is his own ijtihad at a specific time.
People would see it as
threat.
A threat.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. How do we explain to them it's not really a threat, it's actually good for the country as well? But if we don't participate, how would we ever reach to our rights? Can you clarify with us what should be the level of political participation of the Muslims in the West?
Yeah.
Fortunate is he who remembers Allah abundantly.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our program, The Excellence of Manners. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about the manners and the important part of humbleness that we've covered already in a previous episode, and now we're talking about pride. We're joined by Sheikh Saeed. Jazakumullah khair for being here.
Allah hayik, may Allah reward you, may Allah bless you. Hayk Allah Sayyid Muhammad.
Jazakumullah khair. Before the break, we were discussing the reasons that somebody might fall into pride. One of them is forgetting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, forgetting really His attributes and not understanding Allah's greatness.
That's right.
And another reason was that forgetting your place in life and why people are created and and that they are truly slaves of Allah, and that this is something that we should always remember.
That's right.
And the third reason was, if you can remind us of it.
Third reason was don't praise yourself. If you praise yourself, you're more likely to fall in pride.
So praising yourself and having people praise you is a cause to fall in pride. In the Quran and the story of Luqman, can you briefly tell us this story?
Well, the advice of Luqman to his son, it is one of the greatest and the best advice in how to deal with people. So Luqman, he was a very wise person. He was now advising his son. And Luqman is not a prophet, as many ulama said. But Allah Ta'ala mentioned him in the Quran because of his great advice. His great advice to his son. So he's advising his son, Luqman, in how to deal with people. He's saying to him, after he commanded him to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, he said at the end, وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ, and don't turn your face away from people with arrogance. When you talk to people, look at their faces. Don't turn your face away with arrogance.
Or as they say, look down.
Or look down at them like this. وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا, and don't walk with pride on earth. Walk with humbleness. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ مُخْتَالٍ فَخُورٍ. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala doesn't like the one who is boastful and who is arrogant. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ مَنْ كَانَ مُخْتَالًا فَخُورًا. Allah Ta'ala indeed doesn't like the one who is boastful and who is arrogant. And then He said, وَقُصُدْ فِي مَشْيِكَ, walk with humility, with humbleness. وَغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكَ, and lower your voice. When you talk to people, lower your voice. إِنَّ أَنْكَرَ الْأَصْوَاتِ لَصَوْتُ الْحَمِيرِ. The harshest type of voices is the voice of, or the brays of the donkeys. The brays of the donkeys.
Allah Akbar.
So he's teaching them how to walk, how to talk, how to meet people. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is a very, very beneficial advice.
It's so comprehensive and
so
simple. And really, if you develop all these techniques, that hopefully you will not be...
To teach you how to be humble.
Exactly. You just mentioned that Allah hates this, or does not like those who are
Allah
pride.
Ta'ala doesn't like anyone who is boastful or who is arrogant.
To what extent does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not like this act?
He doesn't like them even in the hereafter. He won't look at them.
He won't even
look at them. Allah Ta'ala, we have in the hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari, لا ينظر الله إلى من جر إزاره خيالا. Allah Ta'ala will not look at the person who trails his lower garment out of pride. If you trail your lower garment out of pride, Allah Ta'ala will not look at you.
And this was this a practice done by
some of those who are pride, like Qarun, who used to trade his clothes. And in the other hadith, which is as well sound hadith, ثلاثة لا ينظر الله إليهم. 3 people, Allah Ta'ala will not look at them. And He will not purify them. And Allah Ta'ala will not speak to them in the day of resurrection. Who are they? He said, Malikun Kadhab, a king who is liar. A liar king. And an aged person, and an old person who commits zina, who commits adultery. And then he said at the end, and a poor person who is proud. A proud poor person. He is poor and he is proud. Allah Ta'ala will not look at them. And if Allah Ta'ala doesn't look at you, you are deprived from Allah's mercy. Furthermore, Allah Ta'ala in the day of resurrection will gather them as small as the atom. Very small, very little, and people will step on them. People will step on them. And humility will reach them, will encompass them from everywhere. يغشاهم الظل من كل مكان. And the hadith is sound, Al-Bari is sound hadith.
SubhanAllah.
SubhanAllah.
So many terrifying images of somebody that goes into a pride, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not even look at them, that they will not even smell heaven, that they will be put in the hellfire. SubhanAllah, such a crucial topic to be speaking about. What are some steps that we can take to avoid pride?
Practical step. The first one, remember the mightiness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember the mightiness and the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the sound hadith in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, in the day of resurrection, will grasp the earth. Allah ta'ala will grasp the earth. And He will fold up the heaven in His right hand. And He will say, I am the king. Where are the kings of the earth? I am the comparer. Where are those who were tyrant? Where are the tyrants? Where are the arrogants? Where are the arrogants? And then He will say, to whom is the dominion of this universe today? And no one will respond to Him, because everyone by then will be died. He will say, it is to Allah. It belongs to Allah. He will reply Himself saying, it belongs to Allah. And then the verse, and Rasulullah recited it saying, وَمَا قَدَرُ اللَّهَ حَقَّ قَدْرِهِ. And they haven't esteemed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He has the right to be esteemed. وَالْأَرْضُ جَمِيعًا قَبْضَتُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. And the whole earth is His handful in the day of resurrection. He will be grasping the whole earth in His hand. وَالسَّمَاوَاتُ مَطْوِيَّاتٌ بِيَمِينِهِ. And the seven heavens are rolled up in His right hand. Subhanahu wa ta'ala amma yushrikun. Glorified is He and high exalted from what they ascribe to Him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many occasions in the Quran, He emphasized that He has the kingship of this earth and this universe. In more than 20 occasions, Allah ta'ala said, أَلَمْ تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ لَهُ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Don't you know that Allah ta'ala has the kingship and the kingdom of this universe, of the heavens and the earth? وَمَا لَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ مِن وَلِيٍّ وَلَا نَصِيرٍ. And you have no protector or helper beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one will defend you, no one will help you beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you understand this, you won't have arrogance in your heart. You won't have pride in your heart.
So the first practical way is the constant remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His attributes, and especially His mightiness
and His greatness.
And when we're reading Quran, we're reading even Fatiha, Maliki Yawmiddin, and that we should reflect on this, that إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ.
We are His slaves.
We are His slaves. And so the first one is remembering.
We need to understand that everything in this universe, whether it's small or large, whether it's high or low, whether it's seen or unseen, are all belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are all under His dominion, under His power, under His authority.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
And in the verse, Allah ta'ala said, إِن كُلُّ مَن فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Everyone in the heaven and the earth will come to Allah ta'ala as a slave. We are part of His kingship. We are part of His kingdom. إِلَّا آتِ الرَّحْمَنِ عَبْدًا لَقَدْ أَحْصَاهُمْ وَعَدَّهُمْ عَدًّا. Allah ta'ala has counted them with full counting. Allah ta'ala knows every one of them. وَكُلُّهُمْ آتِيهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَرْدًا. And we shall come to Him in the day of resurrection alone. No one with us. No defender, no helper, no protector. We will come to Him as slaves.
Allahu Akbar. We should really remember this word, and that the Prophet ﷺ used to always refer to himself as a slave of Allah. And that really trying to understand this is one of the practical ways of staying away from pride. Is there another practical way that we can do?
I would say, look at the angels. how they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how they submit themselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala in the Quran said, when he spoke about them, وَالَّذِينَ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنْ عِبَادَتِهِ. Those who are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angels, they don't feel pride in worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are very humble in worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the hadith, in the sound hadith, he said that I was given permission to tell you about one angel of those who carry the throne. He said between his earlobes and his shoulder, a distance of 700 years journey. And this angel and those angels, they glorify Allah Ta'ala, they humble themselves to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. الَّذِينَ يَحْمِلُونَ الْعَرْشِ وَمَنْ حَوْلَهُ. Those who carry the throne. And those who are around them, the angels. يُسَبِّحُونَ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ. They glorify Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. They submit to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Jibreel alayhi salam said when Nabi Sallam said to him, "Oh Jibreel, come to us more frequently. Visit us more time." He said to Sallam that. He replied saying, وَمَا نَتَنَزَّلْ. Oh Muhammad, we cannot descend. We cannot move. We cannot do anything as angels except by Allah's command.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. I mean, talking about this topic and really the people and the creation that really humble themselves
to Allah.
We understand more of Allah's greatness. Allahu Akbar. We have come to the end of our episode. May Allah protect us from this great evil deed and having pride in our hearts. May Allah clear our hearts from pride. And thank you for watching and staying tuned with us. I hope you have found this program beneficial, and join us next time on the program The Excellence of Manners, where we discuss more of the manners that the people are supposed to have. And we like to thank again Sheikh Saeed El-Gadi. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you for watching. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Fortunate is he who remembers Allah abundantly, worldly distractions cannot mildly sway his thoughts of Allah and Judgment Day. Righteous is he who bows to one he cannot see, whose deeds do not spring without Bismillah, fulfilling his task with perfect taqwa.